Welcome to WVLP's Unscripted with Daniel, and also on YouTube, where I'm going to interview Ryan Kominakis, who's running for State Representative of Indiana District 4. And with that being said, I hope you like and subscribe, and also hope you enjoy this video.
Means by which those differences can be resolved. And if we cannot end now our differences, at least we can help make the world safe for diversity. For in the final analysis, our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's futures. And we are all mortal.
You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite.
Welcome to Unscripted with Daniel, your free, independent news source for Valparaiso and Indiana politics. Welcome to Unscripted with Daniel. I'm Daniel, your host, and today I have Ryan Kominakis, and he is running for State House District 4. And I want to just go ahead and let him tell you why he's running, and let him introduce himself a little bit.
All right, Daniel, I just want to say thanks for having me. And for the folks out there, my name is Ryan Kominakis. I'm running for Indiana State Representative in House District 4. I'm a family man. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, Afghanistan War veteran. I'm a steel worker, and I'm a union shop floor leader. So I'm not your regular politician. I certainly know what it's like to work hard to make ends meet, and I still work 12-hour shifts in the steel mill. So one of the big reasons that I'm running, though, is that we've got too many legislators and leaders downstate that are more worried about party politics and their campaign donors than they are the people that they're actually supposed to represent. And we certainly need to change that. We need folks downstate that truly understand the concerns and struggles of working class families.
Couldn't agree more.
Right. I could get a little further into the IURC. So the IURC, we're getting back to the utility bills and why they're so high. So the IURC is the regulatory commission that approves rate hikes. Okay, so they're appointed by the governor. So a lot of people have mistakenly said that Ed Soliday is on that committee. He's not on that committee. He is on the utilities committee, within the House. He heads that. And they certainly will advise the IURC, but he's not on that commission. That's completely appointed by the governor. So they've approved some rate hikes over the summer that were astronomical and to me completely unnecessary. But there's different ways that are being proposed. So right now there's a bill out there called House Bill 1068 that Chuck Mosley and I think a few others authored and co-sponsored, where they want to make those positions elected instead of appointed. And then Rodney Pohl also put out a bill. I don't remember the number of that one, but basically where it would make it to where when they have those meetings about our rate hikes, that they would be held locally accountable. So for a long time, it's been 5 people from Indianapolis that get to decide what our rate hikes are going to be up here in Northwest Indiana, and the meetings are typically held down there. Right? That's wrong. We should have those meetings held up here, and they certainly should be open to the public so we can hold the people's feet to the fire that are making those decisions about our rate hikes. Now, nobody thinks that there's going to be a 0% rate hike. That's not what people are saying. That might be what Mr. Soliday is trying to say we're saying, but it's not. Most people understand that there's going to be some kind of fair utility rate that's going to happen. But what's happening right now is not that.
Yeah. So how will we be able to hold them accountable? Will this be a bill that you present that will allow localities to basically stop or to negotiate these rate hikes?
I wouldn't. it would still be the IURC's decision, but if they were held publicly, people would have questions. You know what I mean? Just like our Porter County commissioners, they have meetings that are held publicly. The city council, they have meetings that are held publicly. Right? The people don't necessarily get their vote on the floor for it, but they can voice their concerns, in the meeting, and the folks that represent them now know, what the public's feeling on the matter, right? That's not happening right now. I don't know anybody that's going down to Indianapolis for those meetings that lives up here in Northwest Indiana. So that needs to change. What I'm saying is those bills have been presented in this session right now by State Senator Rodney Pohl and Chuck Mosley. Of course, like if I was the legislator, I would love to write both of those bills myself. Right. But if I was there and I didn't, I certainly would vote for them. You know what I mean? So there's different ways to go about it, but we need change. And these two are working to help regular people, right? And it seems on the other side, we just keep doing everything that favors corporations but hurts regular people. And we need to end that kind of, corporate executive style of legislating. Yeah, so.
It seems that it's people over profits over people.
Absolutely.
And that's just wrong. But now, if you were in the State House, that's one more vote. How close would that bring Indiana to better legislation? Or are we fighting an uphill battle with just one more state representative in a sea of red? Maybe there's hope, but...
Yeah. Okay. So, to answer that question, I believe it's 3 people that we need to break the supermajority. I could be 4. It's not that many.
It's not that many.
So if I'm one of the 3 or 4, fantastic. I do believe that we are going to see some Democrats pull this off more than we've seen in a while. So the Democrats are very excited right now about changing things, because things are not good, especially right here in Indiana and NIPSCO in Northwest Indiana. The rate hikes are astronomical and some of the worst in the state, definitely the worst in the state, if not some of the worst in the country.
You know what I've heard? That for the first time in like 60 years, there is a Democrat registered to run against a Republican throughout the entire state of Indiana. I think it's
not every office, but there's more Democrats that have decided to run for offices in the primary than probably we have in a long time. It is the first time that I think we've had a Democrat in every race in the Senate. In the Senate, so okay. In the state of representatives, I think it was like 92 instead of the full slate. But no, it's fantastic, and. Yet, if we flip those seats, we certainly will end the supermajority. They still obviously would have the majority, but we have much more of a say. But even if that doesn't happen, what you're going to get with a representative in me is someone that's been a union representative, right? I talk about this often and Marine veteran, but I'll focus in on the union representative. So I've been elected to 3 terms as a section griever in my local USW Local 1066, and I firmly believe that the people that keep voting me in, they know that I've got the balls to stand up to power, but I also have the negotiating skills to get results for my members. So I've got those skills, and I believe that those can translate. I can reach across the aisle and work with Republicans to get things done. I do that with the company right now. You know what I mean? So I've been doing that for 11 years, fighting for workers. And I want to take that fight, downstate to Indianapolis and fight for the people in the neighborhoods and the communities around me. Because right now, the people in my neighborhoods and communities, they don't feel like their voices are being heard. You know what I mean? They don't feel like they have a real voice downstate, and I'm running to change that.
That's great. And what do you think, as somebody who is running to represent the people's voices, what do you think the people are saying? You've probably listened to a lot of people throughout our district. What are they saying?
Oh, I mean, I can tell you, even on the Republican side, folks are just not happy with Ed Soliday right now. I mean, when you see a state representative threaten the entire city of Portage, and a message sent to the also Republican mayor, and it was about utilities in the IURC, it's insanity. It's insane that he wasn't asked to step down. Like after a comment like that. Honestly, that was definitely like a trigger for me to get involved and run in the first place. We don't need people in the legislature like that. We need folks that have integrity. You know what I mean? And some folks have been in office for way too long, and it's time for them to go.
It's the 10th term?
I believe so. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
For Ed Soliday, and the specifics of what you're talking about are, as far as my understanding, he said that he would make it so that the Portage region does not.
Yeah, so he said that he would promise to make sure that the folks of Portage would never get another rate increase again.
Never get another rate increase.
I may not be perfectly quoting it.
But somewhere to that effect. And a rate increase is the tax dollars returned to them, or what type of rate are we talking about?
Revenue increase.
Revenue increase.
I misspoke. Revenue increase, yes.
Revenue increase.
Yeah. So he doesn't necessarily represent Portage, right? But in the State House, of course, he has a vote on different legislation that could affect Portage. So, I mean, essentially what he's saying is he's going to vote against anything that's going to positively affect them.
He's essentially threatening as almost like a mob leader, trying to threaten them.
Yeah, I mean, it gets back to integrity, and at the end of the day, we just need to vote the right people in office. You know what I mean? And I'll get back to it. So, Ed always talks about being a union pilot, right, for United Airlines, but I certainly feel that he legislates like a executive from United Airlines, and that's what he retired as. When he wasn't a pilot the whole time. You know what I mean? He moved his way up and was a vice president at United Airlines, and to me, that's exactly how he legislates, like an executive. And for regular people, that's not working for us right now. We need that. We need that to go.
Yeah. Okay. Now, tell me what exactly is a piece of legislation that maybe you have ideas for what people need. And what type of legislation would help the people of our particular community, or just Hoosiers in general? What would that be? If you were in the State House right now, what would you do?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously utilities are huge, and right now I think we need an answer for the people, and I definitely think passing some kind of piece of legislation where maybe there is a flat rate, for a while that's lower than normal to take the burden off of folks. But I would have supported each and every one of those amendments that the Democrats put up that would have helped us. But so there's legislation that I've been talking about for a while. When Ed Soliday wrote to the tax break for the data centers, right? So in 2019, once again, I forget the number of the bill, but in 2019, he passed a bill that gives these tax breaks or tax incentives to the data centers. If you're negotiating, as I have, like I said, as a union representative, typically you don't give something up unless you're going to get something in return, right? To make it work, right, and to, if you're going to give it, you need to get something back, right? So, project labor agreement. Ed supposedly, the Republican for the trade unions, but that didn't make it into his bill, right? We could have had a project labor agreement attached to that tax incentive or tax break. That didn't happen. We could have had requirements that said that, data centers can't go in next to schools if you're going to get this, tax break, or all kinds of requirements, for those data centers to where it doesn't hurt regular people. You know what I mean? Because I do believe there's a way, that the data centers could go in if we had the right laws in place. I'm not anti-progress, you know what I mean? But right now, the progress that we have is hurting us. And you'll hear people like Ed say things like, well, there's always going to be progress and pain. But right now, the progress they're making is devastating our communities. And that's just dead wrong. And everybody can see it for what it is. So we need to make laws, once again, that help us, not hurt us. And that needs to be the goal of every law. As far as I'm trying to think of other laws. So I'm a veteran. I definitely want to help out veterans in every way possible, getting better access to health care, and maybe even making different experimental things easier and more legal for them to deal with some of their issues like PTSD. So I've lost some Marines overseas, but I've also lost some Marines back home. And it's very, very sad to go through that kind of thing. And we need to take care of our veterans. We need to take better care of our veterans, and I'd be willing to do anything to help those folks. So, what else is there?
Welcome back. There was a loud noise, so we stopped. So let's talk about your core issues that you care about.
So I would say my main top three or two issues are affordability being one, labor, and fighting for workers would be two, and then veterans would be three. But we can get into utilities and affordability. So
let's jump into that.
Like I said before, so writing laws that make sense, for regular people as far as this affordability thing goes. As far as utilities go, we need to get those rates down. We definitely could write some kind of law where it says this home delivery charge ends, and we need complete transparency when it comes to this kind of stuff. So we shouldn't be playing this guessing game about what that home delivery charge on your utility bill is. If you call, you should get a breakdown, or it should be right there in your bill. Somebody should be able to tell you what everything on there means. And right now, we have not had any of that. And in all of the bills that we see out there right now, especially around the data centers and SMRs and that kind of, even the meters from the Senate Bill 1470 from the 2019 session talked about the meters and distribution and the whole tracking system. All of these bills have language in it where they can pass their operating costs on to the consumer, and it's just it drives me nuts that even exists. I don't know how we've got to this point where there are so many legislators that are just, in my opinion, willing to sell out to big corporations. We got to change that. We have to have leadership, downstate that really cares about working class families and getting your healthcare costs, down. So I've mentioned this in some of my speeches before, but as far as healthcare goes, there's somebody close to me. I won't mention a name, but that struggles. With she doesn't make that much money, right? And the threshold to stay on Medicare, Medicaid, that kind of thing it's not. Once you make a certain amount, and I believe it's $21,000 for an individual, you got to go get private insurance, which is going to cost a lot of money. That kind of thing. $21,000. I mean, that's not. But people making $40,000 can't afford. You know what I mean? So we need to change those laws to make it actually benefit regular people. It's just 100%. There are just too many legislators that they're down there, and I see too many of these laws that are benefiting. They're towing a party line, or they're benefiting their campaign donors, and not regular people.
I want to follow up on. So basically, there's utilities that they're chipping away at, and as far as this healthcare, would you is that something that you could do? Could you change like the minimum amount of money that you have to make in order to be eligible? Is that something legislatable at the State House?
So as far as I understand it, it is set by federal law, but the state could set their own. You know what I mean? Right. Mm-hmm. So let's say it's 21,000 federally. If the state wanted to raise that to 35,000 or 40,000 or whatever number we come up with, if it's higher than 21,000, it's better than it was yesterday. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if we can raise that bar and get more people health care, that's phenomenal. And yes, 100% I'd be behind putting a bill out there to make it to where we can get more coverage, for people that are hurting. Everybody knows, a widow or someone that's as a single parent with kids that's struggling. This isn't about, handouts. Like I definitely certainly believe we need some individual responsibility, but we also have to have empathy as Americans, and that's right. and as Hoosiers, and take care of people that need it most, right? What I mean? So we need to help people that are struggling, so.
I mean, when you say that, I think of Jesus, and like he would have wanted to take care of people. Mm-hmm. I think that's logically the case, but Republicans, for some reason or another, these days seems like they don't like the idea of expanding health care, and I might not understand that, but that seems to be the way it is. Mm-hmm. Now, let's go back to those small nuclear reactor and data center things. I was reading you sent me a post about it, and he was talking about how both on the research side that the companies who make the small nuclear reactors or the data centers, the research and all that work that they've done even before building these things is being paid for by the ratepayers or by the people who are paying their NIPSCO bills, and also the construction, and instead of the actual investors who are, essentially not paying anything. It's the most insane thing that I have read before.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, yeah. It's once again, it's one of those things that I feel is just like kind of pure insanity. But if you were to put a garage in your backyard that wasn't there before, and it's attached and it's further off in your backyard, and you need to run electricity to that garage, are you going to pay for it, or do you think that your neighbors are going to pay for it? You know what I mean? Well, right now, that's the way that we have these laws set up around these, data centers and SMRs, the small nuclear reactors. And then, so the language about like the research is more focused on like quantum and the nuclear than it is the data centers.
Oh, okay. All right.
But that language is basically saying like, your neighbors would pay for your new garage before you even build it, and then if you don't build it, they're still going to pay for your new garage that you wanted.
Right.
So it just none of these laws make sense. And once I think I said this before, a lot of people that are super pro business to the extent of hurting regular people will say, well, there's always going to be pain in progress. But once again, the progress that's being made right now is devastating our communities, and we just cannot have it. When they say that, what there should be is maybe some small level of uncomfortability, and that is like the furthest thing from what is happening right now. And if our legislators can't get that, then I hope that the people can see that and vote them out. So,
I mean, I think it's a really poor excuse for the legislation. The extent to which it is being borne by the people is unlike any other technology that we've ever had.
Yeah.
For example, I mean, like the internet itself. It wasn't the people who are using the internet who were paying for the technology necessarily. we pay explicitly for Xfinity, but we're not paying for the research and development that happened by the government many years ago, necessarily. I guess you could say through taxes or whatever. But the point is that the type of pain that people usually face through new technologies maybe would be through, like, maybe their jobs had to change and there had to be new jobs created. Not that we are the investors in this new technology going to explicitly, basically a private company is going to say, we are going to make your state's citizens pay for our little innovative project that may or may not be successful.
Yeah, no, I mean, just like I said, man, if you're going to go build that garage in your backyard, you're going to pay for it. These companies stand to make major profits. Most of them are making record profits. They certainly can afford to pay their own way, and Governor Mike Braun recently mentioned in his State of the State address that the Amazon data center in Hobart was going to pay for all of its infrastructure updates, which I thought to myself, okay, cool, if that's actually the case. But with the way that the laws are written right now, they won't have to. Now, maybe the mayor there can get that in writing, or whomever is dealing with that directly. That would be fantastic, and that's what we should want. But our state laws should read as such. We shouldn't have these laws that give these people or these corporations, I should say, this corporate welfare. I just shouldn't happen. They can pay their way just like me and you can. And we need more legislators with the mindset of, I actually represent the people in Indiana, not these big corporations. So.
Right, they're pro corporate welfare, but anti Hoosier welfare.
Right. Yes. Right. Yeah.
It's a stark contrast.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, if you want to continue on the utilities, I was going to.
Sure. Absolutely.
I was going to move on to the labor aspect. So there's on the labor aspect of things. So there's all kinds of different ways I would like to address fighting for workers. So when I say labor, what I mean is fighting for working people. So raising the minimum wage is a huge deal. It's a $7.25, and it's been that way forever. We certainly can do better than $7.25. Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you look at our unemployment laws and our unemployment compensation, we've been at $3.90, a week for some time. When people are hurting most, Indiana makes you struggle more. And I personally think that is wrong. And the state always has a surplus. We need to take care of people that are struggling. So we can. There's been bills in the past that have just simply asked them to raise it to $4.25. That's not unreasonable. We're not asking for like the Illinois rate, you know what I mean? But we want an improvement for Hoosiers. Right. So when they're down, we're not kicking them down further, right? And then we can get into workman's compensation laws. So there's all kinds of issues with those. One of my biggest issues is if you get hurt at work, you can't choose your doctor. Your company chooses your doctor, and that should not be the case. We can get laws passed that change that. And some of that seems like, well, I'm not unemployed. I didn't get hurt at work. Well, it doesn't affect you until it affects you. So when it does, it's a big ordeal. You know what I mean? And we need forward thinkers that are going to try to take care of the most vulnerable.
Absolutely. Now, on the note of the $3.90 a week compensation, this is compensation for when there is some sort of injury that you face, or
that's unemployment.
That's unemployment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, how much would raising it to $4.25 help somebody?
I think it would help them immensely. I mean, right? I mean, that's an extra, $75 a week. You're looking at an extra $300 a month. I mean, to me, a $300 a month extra off of your unemployment is certainly going to help a family.
Yeah, that's true.
If you have 2 to 3 little kids and a wife that you normally would be feeding, but you got laid off, and instead of being that $390 a week, now you could have an extra $300 a month. It's certainly going to help you.
How long has it been $390? Because we got to think about
it's been a while.
Inflation over the course of. I mean, there's a lot of inflation.
Probably been at least 10 years, but I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Yeah. Just like the minimum wage, it's been quite low.
That one has been there, like I want to say early 2000s, like 2008 or 9, or so 15 plus years. Yeah.
And
so other issues out there, right? So right to work, as a steel worker and union rep, right to work is a huge one. What it really means is right to work for less, right? And we need to get rid of the right to work law. So,
tell me about right to work. Right to work, I'm not sure what it means.
All right. So, in a right to work state, if you have a union on the job and you hire in there, you don't automatically get thrown in with the union. You can opt out of the union, right? And then also say you're going to still get representation from the union without paying your union dues.
You're going to get representation without paying. So it's essentially you're hammering into the budget of the union without actually having union protection. Wait. No, not exactly. That's the opposite.
No, it's the opposite. Yeah, you're not giving any money to set the to build the ground for the union, right? The union has to operate, right? You know what I mean? So that's we have union dues, and typically they're an extremely small percentage, like 1% or lower, right? Yeah. But these people that decide to go this right to work route, in that law, even though they don't pay union dues, if something happens, the union reps are required to represent them, and those union reps. They could get in trouble for not representing them, like legally, even though they don't pay into the union like everybody else does. Yeah. These laws are just designed to break up unions. You know what I mean? They're designed to say, hey, well, you don't have to pay. If you do this, you can still get the representation. You know what I mean? But you don't have to pay into the union. It's BS. And anybody that hears about what it's actually about is they can understand it very quickly. You know what I mean? If you're going to be in the union, you're going to pay dues just like everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. They're trying to make the pitch that, well, everybody deserves a right to work at this place, and just because they don't want to be in the union doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to. Well, if you know that the union is there and you don't want to work there, then don't work there. You know what I mean? But unions are a very good thing. Like, the studies are clear as day. Anywhere where there's unions, the wages are more and the benefits are better. And it's even further than that. The jobs around those areas. So let's say you have a steel mill where there's a union and a steel mill where there's not union right next door. Their wages go up. You know what I mean? Too, just because the union's there. So there's no reason for it other than trying to union bust. So we need to repeal that. But there's plenty of other laws. I certainly hope that most cities and counties are adopting right to bid ordinances and the project labor agreements when they put in projects. That's not so much on a state level, but we need to reinstate the common construction wage in school vouchers. That's a huge thing. Teachers unions. I'm definitely a big supporter of public education. Okay, school vouchers to me only hurt public education and the funding that they get, and then they hurt the teachers that are in those unions that are working their ass off for our children. You know what I mean? So we need to take care of our teachers. We need to take care of, we have good public schools here in Indiana, but we don't need to hurt them by giving these vouchers for private schools. And typically what's going on with those vouchers is we're giving vouchers to people that certainly can afford to send their kid to private schools without them. Okay? Like the only thing that's hurting is the public schools.
Right.
So, and I'm a big firm believer as a union rep and someone that is running as a staunch supporter of labor. If you're smart and you're making any decisions, as a legislator, you should go to the experts in that field. So this is one thing I'll give Mike Millsap, he's my district director, give him props for this. Anytime we make an endorsement of a candidate, he always says over and over, if there's an issue that's going to affect us as steelworkers, as the legislator, whether it's mayor, city council, state rep, senator, president, you name it, you need to be talking to us about how it's going to affect us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd say take that a step further now as the candidate, So if there's something going on with any law that I want to pass or vote against, someone will reach out to that group that knows best. So if it's an issue about healthcare, I'm going to talk to folks that are an expert in that field. Maybe I need to talk to the nurses. Maybe I need to talk to a social worker, talk to the steel workers, talk to the trade unions, talk to the teachers. It's just smart because I don't care how many law degrees you have or how many years you were an executive at United Airlines. You're not an expert in every field. Nobody is. So you need to talk to the people in your community, the ones that you're actually supposed to represent. Talk to those folks, see what's going on, see what's going to best help them, because you got some really smart people out there. That's how a community works. That's how we succeed. Getting more people involved in the governance. That's good governance. And that can, once again, that kind of thing can happen on both sides of the aisle, right? We need people with that level of integrity that just genuinely care, that are going to reach out, to the teachers union and find out, hey, what do you guys need? Talk to the teachers, talk to the principal, talk to the small business owners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Talk to the people at their doorstep. That's what we need. That's what we need. We don't need someone, that's been in office for 20 years that sends out mailers once a week, but you never see.
Or just during election season.
Yeah.
Right. What you're talking about reminds me of is it George Carlin, that comedian?
Yeah.
And he says these politicians, career politicians, I believe he's referring to them, it's a big club and you're not invited. But I feel like that's the old way. But the new way, and I think the best way, maybe it's not new, but it's the right way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, you hit it on the head there. I'll get into that. You said the right way, and I like that. But I will say, so I'll hit on something we talked about earlier. So there's a bunch of people running, right? A bunch of Democrats running. Well, I can tell you it's a bunch of younger people. Honestly, a lot of millennials, closer to my age. And I'm definitely not an ageist. You can be 80 years old and be in great shape and could be a good legislator. But there's also a lot of 80-year-old legislators downstate that are not, that are out of touch, and they need to go. But we do need some young blood in there. We need some people with fresh ideas, or at least, like you were saying, maybe they're not brand new ideas, but refresh, actually try some new, because a lot of the stuff that's happening downstate isn't working for regular people anymore, man. And I think it really gets back to the, folks being genuine and actually caring and having that integrity. What was the other thing you were asking? I'm sorry.
I mean, I think it's the right way. It's not the old way.
The right way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, very often in my speeches, I talked about it's not about left versus right now. We're in a huge moment, and we need folks that can really understand right versus wrong. You know what I mean? And to me, it's even further. It's more about top versus bottom. So we have these big corporations and billionaires. They get all of the tax breaks, all of the incentives, and the regular people, middle class, even upper middle class, and the poor, we're all getting screwed. And the only way we change that is by electing leadership that actually has your best interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've had too many people. I guess, too, the thing with like the state and local politics is a lot of people they're not paying attention to that. Too many people are focused on, the Bidens and Trumps and all of that. But like, man, your vote goes further on that local and state level. We've had a city council race here where it was decided by like 4 votes. Might have been 5 or 3.
That's Barbara Domer, right?
Yeah, yep. And then there was another state rep race further downstate, like closer to Indy, where a woman named Tiffany Stoner, who's great in running again, she lost by 64 votes.
Wow.
So when people out there say, "Oh, my vote doesn't matter," it's just no,
absolutely does.
That is wrong. It absolutely matters. We just need people to start paying attention to these local and your trash getting picked up, your roads getting paved, all of that kind of stuff, that gets done at the local and state level. That stuff's going to affect you way more than anything Biden or Trump are doing. So start paying attention to these races and start paying attention to people's voting records.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So especially on a state level and a city council level, they don't have these big fat bills packed full of stuff, right? Federal Congress, Senate, that's you may not be sure about that bill, right? But on a state and especially the local level, you do know. I mean, the bill's not packed full of so find out about that stuff. Do your research. Don't be that person that goes in the voting booth and votes straight ticket, right? That's another thing. 100%, I would absolutely put legislation out there to end straight ticket voting. It hurts. Not only does it hurt the people running, but it hurts the entire state, because we could have someone that you might vote all Republican, but there's that one Democrat, that you could have voted for, but you didn't even think about because you voted straight, or vice versa. You could be in an all blue state. And the same thing could happen. Like, we need people to really think about who they're voting for and give everybody on the ballot a fair shake. Just like we need to get everybody in this state a fair shake.
When I hear about that particular rule, the only thing that I can think that it does is eliminate basically the critical thinking skills of the voter. They don't have a reason to be curious about the other candidates and their actual policies. It's just like, now I have to simplify my entire view to, am I a D or an R? So generally, do I agree with D's or do I agree with R's? It just creates a partisan mindset instead of looking at the actual details of who these people are, which is what we need in a democracy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I would even go further to say it'd be great if the D and the R came off altogether and you just knew the names. Now, once again, I don't know if that's necessarily accomplishable, you know what I mean? But I do believe that people understand that straight ticket voting is hurting us. And we need to give people all of the options available. Even if you do still go and vote for every single Republican or every single Democrat, at least you went through each race and decided one way or the other. So, but yeah, I guess one of my biggest things is just kind of a common sense and a people first approach to legislation. Just a common sense approach, people first approach to legislation, man. We need more of that. Need more regular people downstate. And we need people with integrity, man. We need people with integrity. So I'll tell one more story. So I think it was 2023. There was a coal ash issue with Duke Energy. Okay, so coal plants put out coal ash, and it's a pollutant, a poison. Typically, it falls within a community within a mile or so of the facility itself. So NIPSCO, we've got a coal plant. We've had coal ash issues, in the Pines area, but this issue specifically was to do with Duke Energy, down south. So Duke Energy had a coal ash issue. They had a projected budget to clean up their coal ash. They were going to get outside of that projected budget. So they said, okay, if we still have to clean it all up, then we need to pass our costs onto the consumers. And so this whole thing, it went to the courts, and the courts said, no, you're going to pay for it. Well, certain people in the legislature didn't like that. There's a guy, you might have heard me say his name a few times, Ed Soliday. He put an amendment forward to basically get around the courts. Now, I think that they didn't necessarily go with the amendment. I think they put a new bill forward that he also got behind, and then it was signed into law. But the means to the end there with that story is that when Soliday found out that the corporation that was donating to his campaign wanted to push their costs off onto regular people, he went and fought for the corporation. He didn't fight for me and you. And maybe it wasn't me and you because we don't live down there, but we don't need that kind of leadership downstate.
No.
We don't. And that's what you can look that up. You know what I mean? Just look up coal ash and his name, 2023, story will pop up almost instantly. So I guess my other thing I want to get into is you kind of hit on it before, and I talked about, my union representative leadership skills, but just kind of my skills as a whole before we end this is, so as a Marine, I fought for my country, right?
Right.
I've said this in many of my speeches, but I've seen the horrors of war. You know what I mean? I know what it's like to be shot at. I've seen bombs detonate, and your Marines are looking to you for answers. I've been that, calm in the chaos, that calm in the storm. I know what it's like to fight. And as a union representative, there's plenty of times where you got to stand up to power. You know what I mean? I'm very used to that. And I certainly have those negotiating skills with the company. We need someone down there, someone that's that's got a proven ability, to fight, not only for my country, you know what I mean? I certainly think that I'm a man of service. I've been involved at the VFW basically since I got out of the Marine Corps. That's the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the post here at 988. I've been speaking at and held different offices there for the past 16 or so, like 14 years. I've been very involved. I always want to take care of the people around me, whether it's my Marines, whether it's the people I work with, or the folks in the community around me. Yeah. I want to take care of those people. I want to make a better tomorrow, not only for the people in my community, but for my children. I got 2 little boys, Charlie and Jack, and I want their life to be better than mine was. That's what my dad wanted for me. That's what I want for them, and that's certainly what I want for District 4. So if folks want a proven leader, maybe I've not held public office, but I've done a lot of other stuff in my life to prove that I certainly can get the job done. I'm a man of service, and I'm somebody that knows how to fight, and someone that will stand up to power. And I'm definitely not someone that's going to toe a party line or get dragged into making wrong decisions because folks in power are putting pressure on me. I'm always going to legislate on the side of people. So I also want to finish with, we have some labor disputes here locally that are going to affect the folks in our area, right? So NIPSCO actually has a labor dispute right now with USW Local 12775, where they're in contract negotiations, okay? And it's definitely been a tough round of negotiations, and they're actually talking about shutting down like a department there that's been there forever. And the union's actually proven to the company that those workers, they can get the work done for less, right? And the company still wants to use contractors. Most likely they're not going to be union, whole thing. But we need to support labor. If they're in a struggle, we're in a struggle. BP in Whiting, they're also in a labor dispute. They've actually authorized a strike vote, I believe, or at least are prepared right now for a strike. I'll need to verify that they've actually authorized a strike vote. But in negotiations and things are getting tough, there's going to be a rally on Saturday. They're doing parking at like 10:30, and I think it goes from like noon to 2. But if you were to look on any of my social media stuff, all of that information's out there, but we need to, even though it's in Whiting, there's lots of people that work there but live in Valpo. You know what I mean? But if other working people are struggling, we need to stand up for them. We need to let those people know that we've got folks in government, or at least candidates with me, that are going to have their back. You know what I mean? You don't typically see a lot of politicians out there on the picket line, or at a rally with union people. You're going to see that often with me, because I'm the real deal. I'm not Mr. Corporation. You're not going to see NIPSCO donating to my campaign anytime soon. What you're going to see is regular people donating. You're going to see some of the local unions donating, because I care about workers. But you're going to get someone that's going to fight for you. And that's my big message, is someone that's a regular citizen that could be your neighbor, that wants to get downstate and fight for you.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming in for this interview. And I hope to speak to you again after you get in to the State House. Thank you so much.
All right. Appreciate it, Daniel. Thank you.
Absolutely.
For having me, man. Yep.
Thanks for joining me on Unscripted with Daniel. And if you're watching on WVOP, be sure to tell a friend about this great broadcast. And if you're listening on YouTube, then subscribe and like this video. Thanks so much. See you next time.